All right, we'll be getting started in just a second. Just gonna get into the room here, get a couple things connected. All right, second. Okay, welcome. Dan Claps here, CEO of Voda Cleaning and Restoration. Going to be doing a quick live stream on, my normal topic of how to scale your home service business. And something I'll be clear on, when you want to scale a home service business, it doesn't matter if it's painting or roofing or plumbing or restoration. They're all very similar in a sense. First thing I want you to think about is when you're growing a home service business, you're not necessarily just in the business of painting or cleaning. Those are not in, for lack of a better word, those are a widget that you're selling, right? You want to think of it, you're in a marketing and technology business that happens to sell whatever the widget it is that you're selling. And when you think about a great home services company, the way that home service companies win is they have a great marketing engine. They have a great sales, forward sales oriented, customer service focused ability to attract customers, engage them, convert them, and start doing the services. And then an ability to do a service in a really great way that attributes to many five-star reviews, right? The more that you can think about your business is all about building a sales and marketing engine with technology that you're converting. Well, first, you're attracting great leads, converting them into customers, getting them scheduled. The more that you realize that your whole business is a dispatch business, right? Your whole business is a constraints management business. It's all about how well you can coordinate getting your technicians to homes in a fashionable way, in a quick, expedited way where you show up at the time that you say. It's interesting. We weren't tracking this and we're not tracking it as much as I'd like to, and we're going to be, which is if I had to ask you which job can you be on time for? The answer is only the first one, right? If you're late to your first job in home services, you're behind the rest of the day. So we're looking at tracking on time reports around the system, around the country of are we showing up to the first job on time? Because that sets the tone and really sets the cadence for the remainder of the day. But when you think about running a home service business, it really does all come down to constraint management, and it comes down to the ability to convert great leads, get them to jobs, show up on time, provide the service at a phenomenal way, ask for incredible reviews that you put onto your website, and you have all the technology and the tech stack put together, and you do it again and again and again and again. Right at the end of the day, whether it's restoration, painting, plumbing, roofing, whatever, it's a widget that you are selling around much a very dialed in sales and marketing engine with technology. That's it. And the more you see home services getting more professionalized, the more that you realize how much opportunity that there's out there. There's 10,000 boomers retiring every day, and 8 to 12% of them own a business. 8 to 12% of them own a business. 8%, I believe it is, out of 10,000 boomers. And you know how many of those are home services? A lot that don't have technology. Tech stacks in restoration and in home services was not a thing even like 5 years ago. Like the amount of professionalism that has come into home services in such an expedited fashion is incredible. And if you could just learn that most of your business is building a robust, dialed in sales and marketing engine, and then a scheduling business where you show up on time, you do a great job, you get a great review, you move on, you do it again. That is the beauty of this business. It is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. It's a simple but not easy business. And by the way, anyone who's thinking about getting home services, you have like an ego thinking it's like not cool. I went to a conference last week. There's guys there doing and gals doing $100 million in revenue, and lots of them. Like there's an abundance. The more you expand your universe, that there's ways to make money. That's not just doctor, lawyer, corporate job, finance. That there's so many other ways. The more you expand your universe and you realize that, the more that you can identify that as long as you remove the ego, which by the way, great book out there, Millionaire Next Door. Most millionaires are actually home service owners. Like outside of lawyers and doctors that are showing it off, there's so many millionaires next door that you don't even know because they're not showing it off because they're in the trades. It's a great industry. Now, you don't have to necessarily be in the trades to get into the trades. You have to respect the trades. You have to have the ability to manage people in the trades. You have to have the ability to build and scale a team and lead a team. You have to have the ability to, as I mentioned, build a sales and marketing engine. But you don't necessarily have to be, a tradesman to be successful in the trades. I know I'm not. I live in New York City. My friends are in finance and tech and, private equity, and I'm going out with them. And you know what? You think there's an ego? No, because they've realized that I've professionalized an industry, right? It doesn't matter if you were in, the cookie business and you had 100 locations of cookies or garbage truck removal and you were making great money with it. Who cares? As long as you're running a business in a sophisticated way, you're doing something that makes an impact in your community. Getting rid of the ego around, owning a home service business, it's an amazing business. It's silly to have that kind of ego. If you're someone that's listening, got a lot of Twitter people or X people on here, a lot of my audience is the people looking to all, transition out of, corporate or finance. Don't get so overwhelmed by home services not being cool. First of all, it is cool when you get good at it, and realize you're building a sales and marketing engine with technology enabled. And it is very sophisticated when you realize running this kind of business can be. But anyway, so let's get into it. How do you scale a home service business? I want to try to make this webinar granular with actionable things that you can take away, that you can actually use and not just fluff. So I'm going to start with a more advanced audience and I can work back to a more basic one. First thing I will mention, if you are not tracking your sales appointments and listening and coaching your team, you're missing out. Right? Home services, as I've already said, is all about sales, right? And so the more that you can recognize that, the better you get at sales, and the more that you recognize that sales really is a sport, the more that you're going to realize that your leads are not that bad. It's the conversion that's not good. So let's start with the basics. Number one, if a lead comes in, they call in. You need to be striving for a very clear benchmark that 80% of your calls are answered within 20 seconds or less. An ideal benchmark would be the phone rings once and then they answer, but that's very difficult to achieve. But you want at least 80% of your calls answered in under 20 seconds. Number two, form fills. They need someone dedicated to calling on form fills. You have to call the lead right away. If you're getting leads and you're not following up right away, I highly recommend you look at how to enable yourself to do so. There's great tools out there for texting leads when they come in, such as Chirp or Hatch, to text right away. But remember, people want speed to lead. They want to get answers quickly. The more you can get to a lead quickly, your conversion rate will go up substantially between texting and calling right away. So the best thing that I recommend is if you're in home services and you don't have a dedicated team answering your phones, then utilize an answering service or an outside call center. You got to get yourself out of the truck and you got to get yourself out of answering the phones yourself. I get that you can do a great job, and I'm not saying don't always never do that, but when it comes to your more quality, high volume leads like Thumbtack, Angie stuff, let the call center answer that. Let that work its machine. You go out there and focus on being the mayor of the town and building relationships and getting those bigger accounts. The next thing I'll mention is if you're in any type of business where you can get to the home, the more you get to the home, the better. So I'll give you a great example. I'm in the restoration space and we get leads from plumbers, right? We get referrals from plumbers. And one of my favorite recommendations that our team talks about is when you get a referral from a plumber, go to the home, go right away. We have beautiful trucks. They look better out in the field than they do in the garage, right? Don't let your beautiful truck that you wrapped and you branded and you're keeping nice, go show that thing off. Bring it out. Go to the homeowner. Show them that you're dressed appropriately, that you're groomed, that you're on time, that your truck looks good, your truck is clean. You're a cleaning business, you better have a clean truck. I've had that in my system where franchisees don't have clean trucks. It's crazy, right? You're a cleaning business. You got to be clean. You got to show that to people. But my best recommendation is whenever you can, get out there into the field with the truck. The more you can do that, the better. If you're on the phone with someone and they're on the fence, I would say to them, look, if I come out there and everything I say makes sense and adds value, would you want to do business with me? Of course, let me come out there. No charge right now. Forget about the price. Let me come out there. Let's see if I can help you with what you got going on and see what happens. Now, the best advice I also give to you is this advice around like the idea that customers, never customers always right. One of the best sales tactics that I've learned that I think people should really understand is that when customers ask you for something, chances are in their mind, they don't think they're asking something crazy. They think it's reasonable. And sometimes you have to help them understand that what they're asking is a little bit crazy, or they may have a solution to why they're asking that you could work off. So let me give you an example. If I go to a home and the homeowner's like, Dan, I like you. I'd like to move forward, but you know, $3,000 is too expensive. I could pay you 1,500, and you said it takes 2 weeks to this. I need it done in a week. My answer to them wouldn't be, anything other than a question. And my question would be, thanks for sharing. I'd love to help you with, price. I just want to make sure I've got this accurate so I can go back to my truck and call my boss and see if they'll go with it. I'm going to go to him and mention that you want me to do this for half the price in half the time. 5 or 6 people today did it for full price in 2 weeks, but you want me to get it for half the time and half the price. I'm happy to try, but how am I supposed to do that? Can you walk me through what I should say to him? And you wait. Because what I will tell you is anyone that hears that back that realizes it's ridiculous, they can't give you an answer. And they're like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, I know, right? Help me. How am I supposed to tell him that? Like, and don't say it aggressively, right? It's like me and you against this issue. I'd be happy to do it for you. It's not my business, right? In this case, I'd be happy to do it for half the price, and I could do it pretty fast. But I got to talk to him. How am I supposed to get that done? And let's say that the homeowner is like, yeah, that's crazy, right? But maybe they have a solution. Maybe they say, well, I don't know if I mentioned this, but my brother's a plumber, and if you could help us out, I'd love to get you connected to him and work with him. And let's say you make sure that you're going to get connected to the broker. Would you do the job as a first priority in half the price if you knew that at the end of that you'd get connected to a plumber? In my business, plumbers are the key to our business. Would that be worth doing it in half the time and half the price? I think it would be. But you would never know that there was actually a reasonable request on the other end of the request if you didn't ask. And if it wasn't a reasonable request, when you word it in a way where you ask, like, I'm happy to try this for you, but how am I supposed to word that to my boss? They're going to realize it's crazy. What you're doing is you're showing that you are hearing them. So, right, if I heard you correctly, John, you want me to go back and to the truck. I'll give my boss a call. You want this for half the price and half the time. And I'm happy to ask him, but we did 5 jobs today at that price point, and we're over a 2-week period. Everyone signed on that. I'm happy to go try, but how am I supposed to do that? Walk me through what I should say. And just put it on the customer. That's a way to get people to flush out if they're doing something or asking something ridiculous, or if they have a solution. Now, I'm going to give you another tactic or another trick on this same topic centered around sales in the home. So I'm going to use mold as an example just because it's something that our line of business serves. If I were to go into a home, I'm going to walk you through a little exercise. If I went into a home and the homeowner turned out to have mold in their house, right? They didn't, dry a basement, and now they got mold. And they're like, oh my God, Dan, I had no idea this was going to be so expensive. I thought this would be $500. I can't believe it's $5,000 to get rid of this mold. I thought insurance was going to pay it. They're not. What do I do? My answer to them might be centered around first finding out the issue, right? And let's say the issue is the 5,000. Is it an issue of paying the 5,000? And let's say their answer is yes. What I would do is I would actually say, like, look, I completely understand. I've had so many customers have this experience. It sucks. I'm so sorry that I had to come here in the middle of the holidays and that you have this mold. I know it's not a cheap time. You got your vacation coming up. You mentioned also that, you got Christmas presents to buy. And I've definitely been there. I've definitely been there in your shoes. This is my suggestion. Let me come back in 2 months. We'll check on this. Let's wait on it. Let me come back in 2 months. We'll see where we're at. That way you get past the holidays, and we'll get the mold out then. And let's say the homeowner said, Dan, that sounds like a great plan. Without coming off passive aggressive or coy, you'd have to make sure that you word it the right way. But I would simply ask them, and after I've disarmed them, right? I'm saying I'm gonna come back in 2 weeks. I would simply ask them, I do want to ask though, this mold here, any issues sleeping yet? Are you guys having any issues sleeping yet? And what I would do is I would get them now to think, because chances are you have mold, like it can affect sleeping, it can affect breathing. If it hasn't yet, in 2 more months it will. And what you're doing is you're planting a seed. You're saying, I'm gonna come back, but just curious, are you guys having any trouble sleeping yet? What you're doing is you're getting them, this is not to manipulate them or anything. This is getting them to think about, wow, I actually didn't even think about that I am having trouble. There's a chance that they haven't been sleeping well. And it could be because of the mold. And if you ask them, have you guys been having any trouble sleeping yet? No. I've been sleeping fine. But I got to say, I've been waking up a little groggier than usual. Oh, well, when did that start? Past 2 months. Okay. Well, you've had mold for 2 months, right? Like now I'm starting to build some value in maybe I should get rid of this. They're like fearful now. And the truth is, if they don't get the mold out now, right, chances are that trouble sleeping is going to be there. There's more health concerns. Mold's a real thing. And it's going to grow too, right? And you're going to have a larger bill. But now I've got this kind of opening where they're nervous. And I would say, look, truthfully, I'm happy to come back when the money's figured out. If you're having trouble sleeping, then I would consider getting this solved. Is it really just the money? And again, it's me. And if you build enough rapport, it's me and them against the problem. I'm not there to sell them anything. I'm there to help them. It's me and them against the problem. And it's like, is it just the money? I'm like, yeah, honestly, I don't have $5,000 to lay out. That's our vacation fund. And when I've now planted the seed and I've created a lot more urgency at getting rid of this mold, because one, it's going to grow, it's going to be more expensive later. Most importantly, they are having trouble sleeping. They're now thinking, I want to sleep properly. This mold is going into my lungs. I'd say, I'll tell you what, let me go give my boss a call. I think I think there's a financing option we could probably do. I know they don't love doing it. Let me look into it. It's a little more expensive on our end. Let me talk to him. Because remember, they're bought in now. And I go and I say, if there was a way for you to do this mold job for $5,000, but we could finance it over 24 months. And here's your payment. And here's what it would be. Would you want to move forward now? And the answer probably would be more likely, yes, right? Because remember, they had an issue. They learned it was expensive. They didn't have the money to pay for it. We created urgency by first making sure they have some type of pain, which is in this case, they're not sleeping as well. And then we're bringing a solution, which is, by the way, let's finance it. If you just went to finance and the issue was only money and actually was like they didn't have urgency, they wouldn't have done it. But I created urgency by finding the pain, which is the inability to sleep, disarm them first, then the ability to sleep, and then a payment option. What did I do there, though? If you understand the framework of this, the first is a disarming, right? Disarming is saying like, hey, don't worry about it. We'll come back in 2 months. No problem. I'm not here to sell you anything. Number two is I framed this in a way by asking, are you having trouble sleeping yet? Right? If you're in home services, one of the best lines you can ever say is this giving you issues yet? Is this giving you issues yet? Is this giving you issues yet? So where does this come from? So first of all, Chris Voss teaches this. It's great, which is the idea that people, when they're buying, they want to tell them that they want to hear no. No puts them in control. They want to say no. There's all this stuff about getting people to say yes. Forget about that. That's old school. Now they want to say no. They're getting bombarded. They want to be in control. So when you go to somebody's home, like for me, instead of me asking, can I park my truck here? Right? The answer is yes, right? I would say, is it an issue that I park my truck there? No, right? Instead of saying, do you want to sign the contract today? I'd say, are there any issues with getting started today? Are you opposed to getting started today? Right? The answer is no. Are you having any issues yet? Is not only getting them to say no, but that yet is getting them to think like, no, I don't have any issues, but, should I? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean, do I have any issues yet? Right? And then you can say, do you have any issues? No, I don't have any. Okay, well, just what I found is people that have mold, when they wait for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, not only does the cost of the mold to get it out later, cost way more. So you're only delaying the inevitable and making it worse through neglecting it. But also, I have found that in my time doing this business, people usually have trouble sleeping after some time when they have mold in their house, right? You're building value in creating this. And again, it's not to manipulate, it's just the truth, right? I know if I had mold in my house, I'd want someone to empower me to get rid of it. And if I realized I needed to get rid of it and they gave me an option like financing, I'd be a lot more likely to do it. Do you know how many consumers, I mean, how many home service contractors are offering consumer financing? Abysmal, very little. And if you set up that, which is very easy to do through vendors, you can have amazing results through consumer financing when sold the right way. When sold the right way. So the whole point of this, though, is all of this centers around if you're not doing sales training, then you're already missing the eight ball. Like, for example, I just had, my friends over at Rilla call me, wanting to talk to me. Rilla is an incredible service, Rilla.com. Just go to Rilla.com. I'll put it in the thing, Rilla.com, which Rilla's whole thing is around this idea of the end of ride-alongs. Rilla will go with you. It's an app that goes, you go in the home, you hit record. It's legal and ethical and everything else. That's all covered. And you go into the home and it records the technician or salesperson's interactions with the homeowner, which a lot of people give me trouble on this. First of all, when I first had this idea of recording in the home before I knew about Rilla, everyone's like, what the hell are you talking about, Dan? And I remember literally I went online and I bought microphones and I bought dial pad, which is like a phone system. And I plugged the microphones into the thing and I started going to homes recording my interactions. Now, legally, we would, in the call center, you say, this call and future in-person meetings were being recorded for quality and training purposes. You're getting an implicit, all the legal stuff I could talk you through. It's very legal. Now, an ethical standpoint, first of all, I would just turn the recording on. I would tell them, hey, do you mind if I record this? And then no one would care. Because by the way, the average homeowner, the average human being is used to being recorded. Your Instagram's recording you, your Facebook's recording you, your Amazon Alexa's recording. If you didn't know this, it is, right? You have given plenty of companies permission to record in the home. And quite frankly, if I'm recording my technician that's going to your home and it's just a single mom at home and the technician's going there and there's a recording system there, that is actually creating a more, safe environment for everyone, right? God forbid something crazy were to happen somehow, right? You want to have these precautions anyway. So to me, it's weird to not want to be recorded, honestly. But this program, Rilla, before I knew about it, I'm trying to do this with duct tape and a microphone, and I found Rilla. Rilla, you go to the home, you turn on the recording, it records, you use AI to figure out sentiment and words and exchanges. You can put your script in there, and you can identify what your top producers are saying versus your bottom performers, and you can figure out how to improve them. If you're not doing that, you're behind the eight ball. Honestly, we're not like you're missing out. And I don't mean to be so, candid about that, but it's just the truth. Why would you not enable technology? When people tell me they're not using AI, I think to myself, like, I was pretty young when the internet came out. And I like to think if I was around, I would have started using it right away. Like, oh, I'm not going to use that internet thing. Like, that's what saying I'm not going to use AI sounds like. It's going to be the future. You should lean into it. Why not? Using AI to record these calls and track interactions and figure out through data how to sell better is so important. Like, when salespeople tell me, oh, I know what I'm doing, that's not a good athlete. That's not a good salesperson. Salespeople should be like athletes. Does LeBron James have a coach? It's great. He still has a coach, right? The coach is there to make you better. And when you're selling, you got to learn how to improve. And how do you learn how to improve without being able to have footage or, tape of you? Well, how do you have tape of you without recording yourself? And so to me, it's imperative that technicians and salespeople record themselves. And when you go into the home with Rilla, I feel like I'm a sales rep here for Rilla, but it records how many words per minute you're speaking. It'll tell you what the top producers are speaking. It'll tell you if you've been cursing. Maybe you don't realize you're cursing when you get nervous. I don't think you should curse in a home service appointment. Maybe you don't realize it. It'll tell you if you're off the script. It'll tell you how much you're talking. It'll tell you how much they talked. It'll tell you how to improve. All these data is within this system. So next thing I'll mention is just you got to use a recording system like Rilla to help make yourself and your salespeople better. But on the sales side, it's like the amount of stuff that you can do to improve your sales in home services is crazy. I hear some people leads aren't good. First of all, stop trying to rely on digital ads anyway. Like, let me ask you a question. If you're a home service owner right now, have you ever thought about going to a home, cleaning their house or whatever you do? Like there's a story about a woman, she had a cleaning business, a maid's business, and she had no Facebook ads, no Google ads, nothing. She was overbooked with customers. Why? One little simple thing. She would go to people's home. She would clean the home when they weren't there. She would then take out her cookies bake cookies in the home, clean it up, put the cookies out for right around when the homeowner was getting home with a note and a photo with her family and a business card that said, "Thank you for allowing me to serve your home from my family to yours. Enjoy these cookies," and whatever it said. And like, think about when you come home, your house is beautifully clean, you're home from work, you're excited for a Thursday night, Friday night, whatever, and it smells like fresh baked cookies with a beautiful note and photos. Would you refer people to that cleaning person because they gave you this incredible experience that you literally are smiling about? I know I would. You don't need Facebook ads and Google ads or anything else when your leads are coming from Barbara referred you to John, and John's like, "Man, I want the same experience you gave Barbara with these freaking cookies." Like, that's the stuff that you can do that'll blow people's minds away. Make the cookies, put them in a brown bag, put a photo of your family and the business card, and say something nice about how you started this business to help people like them. And like these little things, but no one does it. And then they complain about Facebook ads and YouTube ads, or excuse me, Google ads, and how they're not converting. And then they're not answering the phone and they're not calling the leads. Like, just put yourself in the shoes of, put yourself in the shoes of the customer. I know for me, if I went online and, I tried to get a call from a home service company, they didn't call me right away, I wouldn't want to work with them. It's the same thing for you. You got to put yourself in the shoes of the homeowner, of the customer. Well, I want to try to grab some feedback while I do this so I can talk about things that are relevant. If anyone wants to put in the chat thing or the wherever that is, or the comments, I can touch on some other topics. Are you a new owner? Are you currently an owner? Are you exploring owning a franchise or home service business? What's the audience look like here? Hmm. Maybe I don't know how to get people to talk in here. Still learning this live stream, honestly. Well, if you're looking at owning a home service business and you find value in my content, you're welcome to check out our franchise, which is myvodafranchise.com. Put that in the comments. If you're looking to expand your knowledge of home services, maybe you're already a home service owner, and you are, trying to just learn. I wish I had access to this kind of stuff when I started out. Um, but if you're looking for more content on how to scale your company, I put out this here. This is my LinkedIn. I put a lot of content out on scaling a home. And by the way, why am I qualified to help you with this? Well, first of all, why am I not qualified? I am not a handy guy. I am not the typical home service guy that was out in a truck and then built a business and then started, doing whatever. I am the least handy guy you'll meet running a home services company. It gives me a very unique lens. I understand managing people. I understand lead generation. I understand sales. I understand customer service. I've run several large businesses at this point, but I have not been in the truck. And I'll be honest with you. And some people don't like that. That's okay. But I'm able to teach people how to run a business without being in the truck, without being an expert at the trade they're in, but still loving the trade that they're in and loving the trade people that are in that business. Right. But that's kind of my background. Now, why am I qualified? Currently, I oversee Voda Cleaning and Restoration. We have 75 franchise owners, 183 or 4 territories in 30 states. The franchise owners, we have 5-star reviews across the board. Like, I think the last time I looked, 189 reviews over a couple of days. All of them were 5-star reviews, or at least the average. We have over 3,000 5-star reviews in our flagship location. Voda is an extremely well serviced, business. We're very good at um, providing people with a service that gets 5 stars, not just in one location, but in all of our locations in our franchise model around the country. I'll show you guys something kind of cool, and a little shameless plug for our friends at Consumer Fusion, which is a review management system. I'll just show you guys something I think pretty exciting. So I oversee all the reviews that come in to Voda every day. I'm always making sure that the reviews are 5 stars, and if we don't get a 5-star, we've got to figure out what happened. But look at this. So let's see. This is just today. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm just showing you this is across the system in all different kinds of states. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. I mean, it just goes on and on. And this is across the country and all of our markets in all of our systems. This is something that we've been able to not only do, again, not only do within our flagship business, but also have been able to do across the country with brand new franchise owners that are still they're learning our ways of doing things that allows them to not only do the job but to do it in a way that gets 5-star reviews over and over and over and over, which there's a method to that. But anyway, if you're interested in learning more, my content is here. If you're interested in Voda, myvodafranchise.com. If you want to just learn more, reach out to me. I put out a lot of content on home services. Thanks for taking some time out of your evening. Especially shout out to my X community there and Twitter, trying to grow that. I have very little luck there. So if you want to reach out and tell me how to get better results, let me know. I think my content's okay, but can't seem to get traction there like some of my friends at home services. So I see 3 people from Twitter. So help me. Send me a message. I need to know. Thanks again, everyone. I'll see you soon.